Off-Road here, and today we're going to discuss bump stops, specifically bump stops for Jeep JKs. So first we've got the standard stock urethane here, and we'll go through the pros and cons of that. The next up is your standard air bump, and finally we have the Jeep specific JK air bumps. So back to our foam urethane one here. Traditionally the foam urethane bump stops can be really good. Jeep decided to make a couple design features on this one that's really reduced their performance. The first thing is that they've chosen a material that's not very dense and not very progressive. The second thing they've done is they've chosen a tall cup height and a shorter bump stop height. And finally they've made it hollow. So what happens is as the wheel comes up and compresses the bump stop, it'll actually smash all the way down inside this cup, and the axle will go metal to metal on the cup instead of bottoming out on the foam. And you can see evidence of that here with the cut on the bump stop. So these aren't very progressive and you'll get very harsh bottoming out of them. The next upgrade we can do is going to be your traditional air bump. And these work with nitrogen and oil, and they provide progressive damping. So as the shaft goes in, the pressure goes up and it provides a pneumatic effect. And the second thing is there's some valving. So here's the inside, and you can see we've got valving on the main piston, which provides response based on how quickly the wheel gets hit. And then secondly, as the shaft goes in, it's got that big 1.25 inch shaft, the pressure goes up, and that's sort of position sensitive. And so what can happen with these is, especially if they're not tuned well, is that high initial pressure inside can cause you to feel when the wheel comes up and starts hitting the bump stop, you'll get some noise out of it and you might get some force on initial contact that can come across as harshness in the suspension. That's just actually from the bump stop itself. With tuning, these can work well, but it really does take some fine tuning. The final option here are the Jeep JK bump stops that are threaded body. Now, the first advantage is actually being threaded. You can dial these up and down in the vehicle, and so you can get exactly the right amount of bump stop for your tire and wheel combination. And we see oftentimes you can pick up 1/2 inch to 1 inch of wheel travel with these, and that's really advantageous. So if you've got 4 inches of wheel travel and you pick up an extra inch, that's 20% more, and it's really letting the shock and springs work the way they should instead of just getting you into the bump stop right away. The next advantage is that the Fox ones have a negative spring inside, and that negative spring works to really reduce that initial contact force like we were talking about with the standard air bump. It takes that force off, so you get a really nice smooth transition into the bump zone. The final thing is they have an IFP inside of them, and this IFP works off of the displacement's different than it is on the standard air bump. So this air bump works a lot more off of damping, so it lets you articulate more and get more of the travel to provide a smoother bottoming experience than the standard air bump. And so we'll actually run a lot higher pressure, and they work a lot better on a JK and low up travel applications than the standard Fox air bump. So if you've got a low height Jeep and you really want to maximize every inch of wheel travel, I recommend the Fox bump stops. We do the rears with the can on a lot of other Jeeps, TJs, all sorts of stuff, because it's just a nice welding combo. But you know, whether you go with the standard air bump or the JK air bump, upgrading over the factory is a huge benefit. So thanks for watching. Check us out at AccuTuneOffroad.com. Thank you.